Okay. For the audience that does not know you, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey, how's everyone doing? It is your boy Fit Flash, FIT_Flash on IG. I am a mindset specialist slash personal trainer slash gymnast slash jack of all trades. I really enjoy, especially now in the social media age. I meet a lot of people that from like New Zealand or stuff like that. So I'm really into helping people, and I don't really charge money for like services and stuff. It's more so of me just giving back and bringing bringing good energy to the world. But thanks for having me on. That's a little about me. Let's start
What
it.
got you started? What got you started? Yeah.
With fitness. So
Well,
people,
yeah.
I mean, with fitness. See, I started training gymnastics as a 3-year-old. My grandmother was in a circus. She was German. She's actually a Holocaust survivor. And she started training me gymnastics. I got my first set of weights when I was 1. They were 1 pound dumbbells made out of concrete. So it's kind of been like a lifelong thing. I'm the guy that works out with Rocky during his montages, doing the push-ups, one arms and stuff like that. So it's always been something that I've really connected with. I've always wanted to look strong, be strong, comic book like almost. That's really the genesis of it.
So, going from there, I mean, you have a pretty large following. So, talk to me a little bit about that and how you kind of built that following.
Oh, I started now I'm an old man. Not a lot of people know this. I'll be 44 in April. So, I was born in the 80s. I've been I've been around a long time. So I started my IG Instagram in 2016, and I would put a lot of bodybuilding stuff on there, 405 bench presses, stuff like that. But I noticed a bit of stagnation. Um, right around 2018, I stopped growing. So then I'm like, I have a bag of tricks. How can I incorporate my athleticism into workouts that will equate to more views, more engagement, more following, and just a bigger impact? So I'm like, all right, let's take the gymnastics. Let's incorporate that. And then I went down to YouTube videos and I just saw what they call freestyle calisthenics. I'm like, wow, I used to do this. This is actually a thing. And as I looked into it, I saw that most of the guys that were doing it were like 5'6", 5'7", 150 pounds. I'm 6'2", 235, 240. I walk around. So for me to sit up here and do backflips and handstand push-ups and all type of parkour, like it doesn't make sense. And given the fact that I'm in my 40s, it's like wow. So that's how it actually started. So I was stuck at around 50,000 for about 2 years, and then once I started switching the content up, I actually got a shout out from one of the guys that was really big, and that got me almost 200K in like a week. And from there it was over. I was like, all right, this is how you do it.
What do you think was the key to your success, though? Like, personally?
Personally, personally, I think it's just that I'm an anomaly. Like I said, I'm pretty big for the sport and for the things that I do. Um, and the grind, man, like you just have to figure it out. You have, like you do, you hit people up, you go through profiles. I do the same thing. Hey, you want to collab? Let's do something. And you try to find people that are actually probably better than you. And sometimes they're willing to work with you, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just him and hot. But just just keep hustling, man. Like you never know when you get that opportunity. And I've had several just from being in shape and just from working. I always tell people, if you're not making 100 phone calls a day, you're not hustling. You got to make 100 phone calls. Somebody's gonna say yes.
What do you think what do you consider to be your biggest success?
My biggest success is, I've met at least 10 people since I started doing the whole calisthenics freestyle thing. I've met at least 10 at fitness expos that they've literally changed their lives. From like, I met a guy who was 350, almost on the verge of, self-deletion. And he's like, dude, I used to watch your videos every morning. And he's in Auckland. I'm in California. So he's in New Zealand. I have no idea about this guy, but he's telling me he watched my videos every day and he ended up losing almost 280 pounds. So now he's in the military. He got a wife. He just had a daughter. And I met them at this last fitness expo in LA. And dude, he was basically in tears. So that right there, I'd say is my biggest success. Like I've noticed in life, the more selfless I become, the better my life is.
Well, on that subject of people that really struggle, and I always ask this question because I've been through this. I feel like everybody has at some point, which is for the person that really can't get themselves to do what they know they have to do, right? In this case, working out, right? How do you get somebody who's never worked out a day in their life to work out? How do you get somebody who has never felt that accomplishment from working out? How do you convince them that working out is a thing to do? How do you get them to work out?
Yeah, I think that if okay, so I always put it like this. I'm not gonna go to a gym and hire a trainer if you don't look better than me, because you're not gonna motivate me. So, you know, visualization is everything. People want to see it. They want to see it. But if you've never worked out before and you're like, oh, you're not so sure about it, I always tell people start with walking. Get up early in the morning, have a cup of coffee, and walk 30 minutes outside. Take your dog for a long walk, walk at a brisk pace, and then take in the scenery. Look at the world. It's so quiet. Everything is beautiful. It's the creation of the world is so, and that right there will inspire you. I just start walking and then get you some weights, some 5 pound dumbbells and walk. Maybe do some punches. And eventually you'll build up. Then we can start with push-ups. You can do all of this stuff in your home, away from people, so you don't feel like somebody's looking at you funny or whatever. And then once you build up, then continue on. But baby steps. So this is a lifelong thing. It's not going to happen just overnight. It's going to take a little bit of conditioning.
So what does a daily routine look like for you? Like from the moment you gain consciousness to the moment you have to go back to sleep.
So I try to get up usually around 4:45, 5 a.m. Um, Take a nice cold shower, and I take a cold shower because it's like having 3 cups of coffee before I have my coffee. It hits you and you're just it's ready to go. A warm shower will kind of like put you back in that ready to go to sleep. But I always get myself ready the night before. I always tell people, if you want to succeed, get your clothes, get everything you need for the morning. Get it ready the night before, because in the morning you're gonna be tired. Your mind's not gonna be firing like it is, and that's how you can fail. If I can't find my socks, I'm like, I'm going back to sleep. What I mean? It just it psychs yourself out. Um, yeah, prepare. Victory loves preparation, man. If you're prepared, you always win.
Talk to me a little bit about diet. What does your diet usually entail and look like?
Um, it depends. If I'm competing, doing competitions, then I'm usually just eating white fish, mainly halibut, cod, chicken here and there, a lot of asparagus. Asparagus is a very good diuretic. And I say white fish because it's very low calorie, low carbs, low fat, and it helps me get lean really, really quick. But if I'm on a regular, just day-to-day night competition, I try to keep it about 80% clean. Chicken breasts, Not too big on sauces. I don't drink soda. Um, 2.5 gallons of water per day, just because I'm a bigger person. And oh yeah, back to that last question too, though. I forgot to tell you. So I start my day around 5. I take the cold shower, come in, have my coffee. I'll check my emails real quick, and then I'll go do my 30 minutes of cardio. Brisk walk around, take my dog out, get some flowers or something. Surprise my lady, even though it's not a surprise, but it's just a routine, a habit that I've cultivated. And I usually go to the gym around 1, 2 o'clock, and I spend a couple hours there, either lollygagging, coaching other people, trying to do muscle ups or handstands or something like that. I'll show different techniques, come back, edit, and film my own stuff. And then I'm in bed by 10 o'clock. So, yeah, I try to keep my circadian rhythm on point, you know, very
When you're talking
important.
about sleep, oh yeah, I was gonna say when you're talking about sleeping, you know, what does that entail, right? Maximizing your sleep schedule.
Maximum. It's so important, man. Like because that's the only time that your body repairs itself is when you sleep. So if you're going super hard all day and you're getting 4 hours of sleep, that's not enough. You need to get that REM, rapid eye movement, because that's when you're in the deep sleep and when you really start to repair yourself. And us as human beings, we're all on what they call a circadian rhythm, and that's usually right. Bedtime should be right around 10, 11, no later than 11:30. You should strive to get to bed to keep that balance. I try to keep everything the same. You know, as far as like going to sleep, waking up, the time I train, the time I do my cardio, I try to keep that all the same. It just develops good habits.
Talking more about on the business side of things, when you're talking about, the 100 phone calls a day in order to be a hustler, the minimum, I really like that statement. You need to reach out to 100 people a day. We can make it broad. If you're not reaching out to 100 people a day, you're not a hustler.
Yeah, you can't really say that you're doing too much, and it may not be phone calls. It could be DMs. It could be messages. Like I said, I'll go through and I'll message, 15, 20 people in the morning. Then I'll message, another set of people. Hey, you want to do a collaboration, or I might see a product that I like online. And since I have a pretty good following, they can come look at my page and they'll be like, okay, this guy could help us. He could maybe do some dope content. I've gotten a few sponsors just by doing free work for them. Like, here, I'm gonna do 3 videos and some photos, and y'all tell me what you think. Usually we go from there. But I've got tons of stuff just by asking. I got a sauna back here from the Sauna Box company. They're super dope. Sent it to me the next day. Really, I was like, yeah, I want to try this. Made a video for them. Video went crazy. Everybody's happy. You know.
Well, with that being said, like, how many people are reaching out to you?
Ah,
Like, what does, like, if you open up your Instagram, are you going to be hit with a billion DMs? Like, what is your phone going to look like?
I get a lot of people who reach out to me, but I'm super bad about checking my my DMs. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, there's always opportunities, but a lot of people want something for nothing. So I'll try to negotiate to where I'm like, look, if you like what I do, then we can talk about compensation. So I might bust something out like Jed North. I did something for Jed North. They loved it. We worked it out. Um, but my DMs aren't crazy. It's not a gang of girls in there. It's mostly, honestly, people either trying to sell me stuff, a lot of scammers, Bitcoin people. I mean, it's not what you would what you would think. I have my main fan base who hits me up if I'm not, like, I haven't been posting in a while because I just got back from a competition, and so they're like, hey, are you okay? Stuff like that. Where you at? Everything good? But it's nothing crazy, you know, nothing too
You
crazy.
know, I Yeah, I mean, like, with that, like what about your emails? Because DMs are a very small part of being contacted.
Mhm.
Like, you get your emails, you also get other social media platforms. So what do like your emails look like, for example, or your text messages, because your phone number is public. So
And see that I didn't even know. I didn't even know that it was public. But emails, it's the same, man. I probably get, and it's different companies where they'll want you to set up like, oh, we'll help you with a fitness funnel training form, or do you want to do a collab? And then sometimes they're fakes. So you have to go through there and sift through there, and I'll look at the link that they sent it from, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't seem real. They'll spell cause COZ instead of CAUSE. You just gotta pay attention, but it's not nothing too crazy. I mean, this isn't my main source of income, Instagram and social media. Not yet, at least. I like it to be. I mean, I'm sure we all like like it to be.
do what you love. You never work a day in your life.
Right.
But, with that being said, so how do you sort through what's worth doing, what's not? Because I don't have, at least not yet, hundreds of thousands of followers. So when you're getting those types of requests on a daily basis, I can only imagine the thought process of, okay, how do I filter out what I say yes to and what I say no to? Because I'm already starting to have to do that, where people message me on different platforms, and I don't even have that big of a platform.
Right.
Because I have a LinkedIn page, right, and
Mhm.
that's my most followed page with like 6,000 followers.
Oh, word. LinkedIn. That's I've never heard that before. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, so thank you. But yeah, I was gonna say 6,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I'm already getting like tons of spam and crappy messages, like crap messages, not crappy, but like messages where it's like, hey, would you want to work with me on this AI project? And it's like,
Huh?
it's a page with like one follower,
Yeah.
and like, or oh, actually, one time I got a message, and it was like, hey, where I work on it was related to my interests, right? I forget
Mhm.
what it was, but they're like, "Hey, what town are you from?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm from this town," because they were from Jersey, or at least it said on their profile. And I'm like, "Oh, from this town." They're like, "Oh, I know a lot of people from this town. We should get coffee." So, like, it seemed like a normal thing, and then like a week later, not even a week. It was like 5 minutes later, their account gets banned, and I'm like, "Oh, so you know,
Yo, you never know who you're speaking to online.
right.
Let's just say like that. Like you have to use discernment. Like I said, I've been on social media a while. I can kind of tell just by looking at like you said, at a profile. I can look at the way an email is constructed. There's just so many tells. And usually people that are very, very serious, they'll hit you up directly. They won't message you. They'll just boom, they'll get at you. Like even on a DM. So like if I haven't spoken with you before, I don't think you can call me on a DM, but typically like people call me on DM all the time. Like, hey, what's up? Wanna work? All right, cool. Let's do it. But the main thing is that I'd say probably 80% of the messages that you're gonna get aren't really gonna amount to anything. It's a lot of people out there trying to extract from you. It's just a crazy world we live in, man. Like I said, you never know who you're speaking to online. You know.
Yeah." And with that being said, when it comes to being on the other end, when you're reaching out to people, right? How do you get somebody to at least read something that you put, or at least to say, and hopefully to say yes?
Oh man, compliments, complimentary. Oh man, I love your work, man. Super dope. Like compliment everyone because everyone wants to be complimented for their work, given their flowers for their work. And if somebody recognizes that, especially somebody that's in your peer group, they're like, wow, you're dope. Especially if they think that you're dope and you're like, oh man, nah, like that right there, you know, it's I call it gassing. If you really want somebody to just gas them up. Hey man, like, dude, I love what you're doing. Let me get a couple of minutes of your time. You check out my page, or I might even send them a link to a video that I've done. They're like, something that is But I'd say gassing people up is the easiest way to get them to talk to you and to say yes, because everyone likes praise.
What do you think the biggest failure in terms of outreach has been for you? Like, have you reached out to anybody super big and you like were just so close to working with them and it fell through? And it might have been something on your end, but what do you consider your biggest failure on the outreach end?
Hmm. See, I haven't really taken a lot of L's on the outreach end, and I'll tell you this. And the only reason why it is because, like I said, in my peer group and what I do, there's not many people my size with the capabilities that I do. So it's gonna benefit them. And that's what you always have to understand. Like most people are only gonna do stuff that or do work with you that will benefit them. Like I have before I started my YouTube, I had almost 6 collaborations and I didn't reach out to anyone. And they've all done, fairly well. I think the least amount of views is like 300,000. But Jack Bailey, I've done like had a flipping contest with the parkour guy, couple series of that. So I haven't had too many failures on that side because I don't really reach out like that. Like I said, I'm always going. And nah, I haven't reached out in a long time, man. Just because I've gotten busier and busier and busier.
So, talking more generally, what do you think, if any, do you have any like major regrets life wise, business wise? And what did you learn from those failures and regrets?
Oh man, failures and regrets. Let's say I'd say I regret when hindsight is 2020, and while in college, you don't realize how much time you actually have. You have I might have 4 or 5 hours of teaching throughout the week, and you have all this downtime. You should, even though I did get really good grades in college, my downtime was spent just running after girls and stuff. Like I really wish that I really would have focused on or had the foresight to see that this computer thing, the computer industry, computer technology, where it was going, and really learn that before. Now I had to go back and learn, go through all these YouTube videos, learn how to do the sound, learn how to edit, learn how to do, if I'd have had a foundation back then, I think that's one of my biggest regrets because, time waits for no one. And having to go back and learn this stuff it's a lot harder. I think that you pick up things a lot easier when you're younger. I don't know, maybe I don't know, especially stuff like this because my grandparents are terrible with anything technology wise. They suck. But I think that was one of my biggest regrets, not spending my time more wisely in my 20s.
Education is wasted on youth.
You got a lot of good quotes, man. You got a quote book over there or what? What's going on, man? Is there a whiteboard over there? A whiteboard with quotes?
No. It's just a wall. I don't know if when I put my hand on it, you'll see a little bit. It's just a wall. But no, I don't have a whiteboard full of quotes. People tell me I have good quotes though. I appreciate
good quotes. Good quotes, man.
Thank you. But yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting to look back and kind of see with full knowledge, like, oh, if I made this decision, how could I have been so dumb? But life moves on.
It does, but that's what I always try to relate up to other men. I meet a lot of guys in the gym, 18, 19, 20, and they're in there because their girls left them. And I'm like, look, don't chase the tail right now. Chase excellence. Get your money right. Read. I always read because the better you can articulate yourself, people respect it, man. People can see when they speak with you, when they talk to you, when they deal with you. Okay, he's not, he's pretty sharp. Work on your fitness, work on your money. By the time you hit 30, you've already got 10 years invested. And if you build it, they will come. That's not my quote. That's from the Kevin Costner movie, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. But literally, if you build it, they will come, because women don't run the race with you. They wait at the finish line for the winners.
Oh yeah, that's very
Like
true.
facts.
It's very true. And with that being said, when we're talking about mistakes that people tend to make in hindsight, what do you think the biggest mistake that the young people make? I mean, especially young men, considering, well, I'm still young, and I consider and young is a mindset, so I also consider you young.
Thank you.
But what advice do you have for, in terms of like the biggest mistakes that you think that young people tend to make, but especially young men?
Man, that it's women and video games, and unless you're making money off these video games, stop playing them. Everyone, we all have talents. There's some really talented people who can't make money playing video games, but I'd say the video games and the women, because they will listen. You got one, it's like having three. You got different personalities, and when you're a young dude, you don't need that stress when you're trying to be the best that you can be. You're not ready for it. You're not even fully developed. Like a lot of these guys, like your mind doesn't fully develop until you're what, 25, 26, completely. So why even bother? Get everything else right. You'll be tight. Trust me. Trust me.
Correct.
Trust me. I
What
definitely think that is. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what advice do you have for young people?
Man, find something that you love doing, and that may take a little bit of time, but find something that you love doing and try to get paid off of that. Try to make your money off of that. Try to be involved in that niche some type of way. Fortunately for me, in my 20s, I did a lot of commercial work. I did a couple of movies, Coach Carter. So I've always been a personality type person. So when it came to the internet, oh my God, really? Phone never rang. Sorry about that. So when it came to the internet and talking, because you got to engage with your audience. When it came to that, it just came naturally to me. So find something that you like doing. Like me, I've always loved to entertain. I've always liked to be funny. That's just always been my personality. I've gotten in a lot of trouble throughout my life from my mouth and talking.
You were talking about reading before. Any good book recommendations?
Oh man, dude, I'm completely a nonfiction guy, but I will tell you right now, because my memory is bad, I tell you what I'm reading or what I have read in the past 3 weeks. So the first book that I read, which was about 3 weeks ago, was by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's called The Message. Very, very interesting book. There's another one that I like called Third Circle Theory. Very good book. I recommend that one as well. And a book by Robert Cardone called Overthinking, which is really dope as well. So out of all those, I'd say Overthinking, Third Circle Theory, and The Message would be the order. But I definitely recommend those books.
What do you think is the reason behind a lot of people's modern misery? Like this idea, this is just a term I came up with on the spot, but I think it's a good way to describe how a lot of people feel, which is this deep dissatisfaction with themselves, with life. not really knowing where to go, right? So what advice do you have for people trying to quell that sort of modern misery and trying to find where they're supposed to go in life?
Well, I can tell you this. Most people, especially what do they call them? Millennials? Is the millennials like the millennials?
Well,
Are you
there's
a millennial?
millennials and there's Gen Z.
Gen
Gen Z
Z.
would be that's my generation because I'm
Okay.
17.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'd say millennials and Gen Z, you got everything that you see on this screen is not real. Most of these people, they're only gonna post the best aspects or the best parts of their life. So don't take it too serious. Nobody's gonna put up there when they first wake up out the bed with crust on their lips and like they're not posting these things. It's these are all productions, even reality shows. They're scripted, like it's not real. Most of these people, and I'm in California, I can attest to this. I know these influencers that act like they got it, they're living 5, 6 deep in a 1 bedroom apartment. I promise you. Like you can rent fake jet spaces out here. Like literally, and you can rent the chauffeur lady to act like she's handing you the champagne for $500. So a lot of these things aren't real. So don't take the internet too serious. Like most people are only going to post the absolute best, and it's going to be delivered in a way that is very, very palatable for the audience. They're not going to give you the real all the time. Most of the time, you know, it's not the Truman Show.
in terms of life, what do you think the biggest lesson that you've learned is having lived the life that you've led?
The biggest lesson learned, it's patience. Patience for me has been a big thing. I'm working on that right now. Still, that's one of my big things is just being patient. Um, but more so the like I said earlier, the more the better my life has for sure. But the more selfish. So when I was chasing money, I was always broke. But when I started chasing people, I've always had wealth. And there's a difference between, being rich and being wealthy. Big difference. Big difference. Like things happen for me now that never used to happen for me. And like I said, energy is big. So I think that the energy that you put out in the universe, it always returns. It's the laws of nature, and
Well,
that took me a while to realize.
it's one of the 48 laws of power.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Work on the hearts and minds of others.
Right. Exactly.
Um,
And it's very fulfilling. And like that's one of the big things is that I was always me, 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 me. And once it stopped being about me and just okay, you have all these talents, you have all these gifts. Why don't you just spend? Because you never know what a 5 minute conversation will do for somebody. You never know how that will change your life. I've had moments in my life where I've had professional athletes spend 5 minutes with me, and it's like, you never forget it verbatim. I can remember the conversation, I can remember the lessons, and you never know who you will affect. So you always have to be conscious of that. Um, and I never put anything out. Like when I do my competitions, if I hold myself accountable and my audience will hold me accountable, and they expect me to follow through, because I can't sit up here and talk about X, Y, and Z being this guy that always does, and not follow through, and they expect me to perform well. And I try to deliver. I try to deliver.
with that being said, so what do you hope to leave as a legacy in your lifetime? Like, what is your goal in your lifetime to do and to accomplish that you think will be worth it? That is the most valuable thing in your life to achieve and accomplish.
Mm. I only started thinking about that question maybe about a year ago. And the only conclusion that I could come to is that I'm living to die, which doesn't mean like it's very strange. Like, I guess I won't really know what type of impact I've had on this world until I'm gone. And I say that because if it's standing room only at my funeral, then I've done a pretty good job. If nobody shows up and it's like a ghost town, then yeah, you know, you know how people feel about you. So that's my thing. It's just I wanted to be standing room only. That's how I know what I've contributed.
Who is the person that you think changed your life the most? Because you're talking about these conversations that you've had with famous professional athletes. Who do you and I mean, like, not even them specifically, but who do you think changed your life the most with any conversation you've had in your life or any interaction with that person that you had in your life?
Wow, man, that's tough. Um, I'd have to say my junior college basketball coach. Um, he did a lot for me. He did a. I don't want to implicate anything, but they do have the NIL, so it's whatever. But he did it. He did a whole lot for me, and he didn't have to. So I'll just by him helping me get to that next level, that meant a whole lot to me. I still talk to him to this day. I call him every holiday. I'll call him and reach out. He had a tragic event happen. A few years after I graduated, so I don't reach out too much, but I just reach out enough just to let them know, like, hey, I'm thinking about you, and thank you. Like, because you really made me believe in myself. You made me, you said, like, I remember he told me, he said, look in the mirror, what do you see? I'm like, myself. He's like, that's the problem. He's like, you don't see what I see. I'm like, okay, what do you see? He's like, I see a winner. And it was so profound. I was like 19 years old, maybe 20. And it's just like, wow, okay. Yeah, you're right. So from that point on, it's different when somebody believes in you like that, or they make or they make you feel like they believe in you like that. It hits different.
What do you think the key to happiness is, at least in your own life?
Mm. Well, I don't think happiness is a state that is constant. I think that happiness is like that machine that you're hooked up to at the hospital. It's peaks and valleys. And I think that the way you find happiness in life is navigating the valleys and not taking them, and understanding that there will be a peak. Like I said, like I tell people, I said the storm isn't going to last forever. It may last a year. It may last 2 years. It may last a month, but eventually that sun will come out. It's just about getting through that. So I don't really say, oh, I just want to be happy, because there's no way you can always be happy. There's just no way. Unless you're on drugs all the time, but then you're not happy. I mean, I don't know.
But that's not you, though, now, is it?
No, no, no.
All right. I think that's a pretty good place to end off. Any final words to the audience?
Yeah, guys, just really, if you like I said earlier, find what it is that you like, love doing, and go after it. Like I said, I do everything. You'd be surprised. If you go to my page, Fit Flash, I skateboard, I jump off a house. You can attest to this. You've been through my stuff, right? You've seen what I do. I try to go above and beyond, but find something you like doing, and just get good at it, and try to make money at it. You know, you can get paid for something that you love. That's great.
All right. In 3, 2, 1.